What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Breakout Finder videocast. I'm your host, Nate Liss. You can find me on Twitter at @AnOutragedJew. And with me, as always, is Ryan Lopes. You can find him on Twitter at StillRyan5, if I got that Twitter handle correct. I've gotten everything else wrong tonight.
You are right on point with the Twitter, which is really all that matters, bro. I need all the interactions. I need all my friends in my mentions telling me how wrong I am. Maybe sometimes how right I am on the very off chance. I don't know.
That's not a Twitter move. Nobody tells you how right you were on Twitter.
It's not. That's not what Twitter's for.
The only time I get interaction on Twitter as of late, it's somebody and they're saying something negative, and almost inevitably, when I click their name, they do not follow me.
Right.
So courageous.
That's in like the Twitter bylines, the guidelines. You could talk shit and just you don't ever follow them. You just hop in once in a while. Type some nonsense and then be out. Log out, and these people don't exist.
They blast you. It's crazy. I got one today. I don't even remember what it said. I do want to say this, though, because Ryan and we talked off air. It was a long off air. I was building this overlay. I had our names in the wrong spots. This whole thing has been falling apart.
I was getting very anxious the entire time. Very anxious.
Yeah, this is pathetic. So I told Ryan, and I don't want to jinx it, but there may be a potential sponsor in the making.
It's big.
Right? It's big time. Like, if it goes through, you guys are going to be impressed.
Yeah. We don't want to, we're not out here. We're going to leave a delicate, gentle spoiler. We're not going to say too much. Like you said, we don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, or the horse in front of the, whatever it is, dude. We don't want to do any of that. So just leave them with that tease them,
Yeah. It's going to be visually apparent if this goes through. There's going to be some big changes to the show. It's going to be exciting, and I'm excited for it, and I really hope it goes down. But this episode, looser than most episodes, no feature tonight, obviously. It's just Ryan, it's just me. Every other, this is what we do, right? We bring you big-time guests. We bring you Matt Harmon, JJ Zacharyson. If you were in the recent mailer that we sent out for all the people that pre-signed up for the website, you have already been emailed who the next guest on the show probably will be. And that next guest is, you got to sign up for the emailer. I don't know. You'll find out. You'll find out next week, hopefully. So, Ryan, a lot of news going down, man. And this is going to be a very newsy episode. I don't know if this is people's favorite thing to listen to. Some people might turn this off. I love it, man, because a lot of things change. There's narratives being built. Guys are rising and falling ranks 10, 20 spots maybe. Right?
No, this is the part of the season. We got the aptly titled. This is summer sadness, bro. This is just it's the same headlines about the same players that everyone's talking about, or you got some pretty sad, heartbreaking injuries out there. We're going to talk about AJ Green in a little bit, but to your point, this is guys like Evan Silva, Adam Levitan. These guys are out here, beating the preseason drum, beating the offseason drum. These are where, you're getting an edge on your competition, whether it's, season long, whatever the case may be. These headlines, to your point, they might seem, boring. These narratives are, it's all anyone's going to talk about. But you follow these things closely enough, you're going to get an edge, on the, the fallout from the various, people tumbling down depth charts, people rising up depth charts. You want to be able to select these players, and use this information to your advantage. And that's what we're about over here, bro. The Breakout Finder boys are about providing, actionable information, we hope. So we got a whole show sheet here, bro, full of stuff that, kind of had us perking up out of our chair over here. So
let me just say, too, it's very interesting to see all the positive news because it is highly on brand. There couldn't be more on brand news than there is right now. And I want to start right off the bat because I'm a homer and I want to talk about the best spot in the draft. DK Metcalf.
We got to get you a megaphone, bro, going forward for that. You got to pull it out. And
I want like one of the cheerleading ones. I'll put some talcum powder on.
The old school one. The old school
wristbands,
joint.
right? Wristbands. Push the sleeves up. Let's talk about DK Metcalf, because that guy doesn't need to push the sleeves up because they will not go around his biceps. What have you heard about DK?
Yeah, I very strategically wrote this shit at the top of the list here, and I should say this is what you put at the top of the list. I kind of added to it a little bit.
Yes.
But I'm very excited to get you to kind of lead this thing in for us here. Normally it's me just carrying on about some nonsense here, but as you said, you are the resident, Seattle Seahawks fan. You are the homer, as you so politely put it. No wristbands on right now, but you are a fan. We talked about DK Metcalf obviously earlier. This offseason. There was a fantastic photo that just got posted a day or two ago from camp. Him standing next to Tyler Lockett. Man, I want to get that shit framed somewhere. Oh. It was beautiful. But to your point, the buzz that we're going to talk about here is just this instantaneous rapport that DK Metcalf has with Russell Wilson, which is obviously it's got to be exciting for someone like you, especially on the Seahawks. Doug Baldwin is gone, but not forgotten. So this is the Tyler Lockett show, we think, but they go ahead and they invest early in DK Metcalf, and he's making some highlight reel type catches in the offseason. So what are you doing about this besides removing every article of clothing from your body? Are you where do you let's turn this into some actionable stuff here for our friends on the timeline. Is this how noteworthy is this for you?
Well, let's talk about this for a second. There's a lot of really smart people on Twitter, fantasy football analysts, that say that, some of the clips don't matter. We get hooked on these clips that we see. They don't matter as much as some of the information that's coming out, the consistent information that's coming out. We've heard Russell Wilson numerous times talk about how DK Metcalf looks really special. He's been encouraged by how quickly DK Metcalf has picked up this offense. Then recently we hear that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are starting in 2 receiver sets at practice, right? So the number 64 pick overall, incredible athleticism, incredible body type. People, all they do is talk about his 3-cone. Look, it's fine. His 3-cone wasn't phenomenal, but everything else was. And he's working on all these things. Seattle clearly invested early in him. He's in 2 wide receiver sets. And let's go talk about Russell Wilson for a second. Okay, of annual base salary, Russell Wilson is number 1 amongst all quarterbacks at $35 million a year. Seattle is not going to pay Russell Wilson $35 million a year to throw the ball 427 times again. That is the second lowest amount of his entire career. They invest early in this wide receiver. That was a near career low in pass attempts. You have to be buying the fact that Russell's going to air it out more, one of the most efficient passers in the league. I'm with you. Tyler Lockett will be the player to own in this offense. But at the ADP value, DK Metcalf is a wide receiver that you need to go and get. Look, like you said, Doug Baldwin is gone. Gary Jennings hasn't quite ascended in this offense yet. That's another name that came out as a potential replacement for Doug Baldwin. But I really do believe in DK Metcalf and what he can do in this offense, man. And I love Russell Wilson's opportunity with a guy like this because he's never had it. And as we see these clips and we hear about this rapport, man, it's wheels up. I love DK Metcalf.
Yeah, so again, I teed this one up for you. I am, again, I've shared my thoughts and opinions on DK Metcalf pre-draft and obviously landing spot and all that considered. Playing with someone like Russie Wilson just should make that transition and kind of cover up any kind of those flaws or inconsistencies, and he's going to make you a better player. Now, the only other problem we got to contend with, and you kind of alluded to it here a little bit as far as Russie's passing, is this is a Brian Schottenheimer coached offense. They want to emphasize the run. So they, despite having Russie, despite investing early in DK Metcalf, despite having someone as efficient and game breaking, dare I say, as Tyler Lockett, this is a team, Pete Carroll, Brian Schottenheimer coach team that wants to run the rock. So there's a Carson, there's Chris Carson, there's Rashad Penny. So you got a divided backfield in that regard. But how concerned are you about this offense being funneled through the ground in 2019?
I mean, clearly it's going to be funneled through the ground. We've seen this with Seattle year over year. I mean, offensive coordinators change, but the philosophy in Seattle really doesn't. They're always running the ball. They always have an aggressive run style. It was Lynch. Now it's this pair of runners. Chris Carson's clearly a very good inside runner as well. We like Rashad Penny. Russell Wilson's efficiency, as it's been stated before, really makes up for this lack of opportunity. But I truly believe that this 427 attempts is going to rise significantly. I think we're going to get back to 2015 Russell Wilson, where we saw the 483, pushing 500 attempts. It's not crazy. That would put him at about middle of the league at that point. He ranked number 20 amongst qualified passers in attempts last year, which feels low for a guy with this sort of efficiency. So if it goes a little more up-tempo, that's going to play in Russell Wilson's favor. But again, I don't feel like you pay a quarterback like this, invest in a receiver like that, and don't push the envelope a little more on the pass attempts. Of course, It's speculation. We know they're going to run, but a lot of signs are there that say that Russell Wilson is going to see more than he did last year, and I truly believe that he will.
Yeah. So we can kind of segue now into, potentially leaving the sadness that is running the ball in Seattle when you have someone like Russell Wilson transition over to Cincinnati, where we kind of let off the show with that. Obviously the AJ Green injury, dude, just such a bummer, man, for a player that I thought was going to clearly outplay his ADP where it was in that third or fourth round. Goes down with an ankle injury, ankle sprain. Initially it was 1 to 4 weeks, no surgery. Then it was, maybe more 6 to 8 weeks. Now he's missing some regular season games. So the news just kind of keeps getting worse and worse for AJ Green. I penned an article, I guess probably about a week or so ago, a few days ago, whatever it was, that I was kind of jazzed about this the Cincinnati attack, man. Andy Dalton's nothing spectacular, but Sean Siegel over at RotoViz, one of my favorite fantasy writers, basically said, he laid it out that, Andy Dalton was essentially on a 4,200 yard, 34 touchdown pace last year. Obviously Green got banged up. Dalton himself got hurt, coming off the Tyler Boyd breakout year. So the stars were kind of realigning for Cincinnati prior to Green going down here. Siegel's argument was that, the Bengals boasted one of the true, game-breaking trios on offense. That is 2 stud receivers, obviously Green and Boyd, with a top-tier running back in Joe Mixon. So despite the offensive line injuries, which are notable, things were still kind of, the arrow was kind of pointing up for the Bengals. Now with the Green injury, things probably do change a little bit. I think things probably get a bit harder on Andy Dalton. However, Boyd probably does see a slight tick up. So all that said, Andy Dalton, Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, maybe Tyler Eifert, Joe Mixon, the offensive line, Cincinnati in general, what
You just cut out there for a sec. So I'm going to answer this question. What are we doing with the Cincinnati Bengals? Man, this is a really interesting one for me. AJ Green going down. We all believe that AJ Green at age 31 was going to put up another premier year. We thought wide receiver 1 year, despite the Tyler Boyd breakout. We thought, hey, AJ Green last year on pace to break 1,000 yards again for his career. The year prior to it, he should have broke 1,000. There was another issue in between there. AJ Green goes down. Like you said, I think they said, 4 to 6, 6 to 8 weeks now. He's going to miss a couple weeks of the regular season. This is a team that loses left tackle Jonah Williams to a torn labrum. Bowling retires left guard. So there's injuries on the offensive line. Tough schedule to start the year. You got to love Tyler Boyd now, right? You've noted it here. They paid Tyler Boyd. He's clearly the number 1 receiver without A.J. Green in the offense. But at the same time, A.J. Green's value just went up because A.J. Green will be back. Do we know if this will be a nagging injury? I don't know. Ankles are always an issue in the NFL. This isn't something you want to see. But with A.J. Green's upside in this offense, his continuous rapport with Andy Dalton, the quarterback, who even into last year had a deep ball completion percentage of 37.8, number 13 in the league. A.J. Green can still stretch the field. I'm excited to get him back in this offense. I think he helps Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is an efficient, good receiver as it is, but we're going to see Tyler Boyd without A.J. Green. We saw it a little bit, but it's really going to be put on display with this banged-up O-line, a focus on Joe Mixon out of the backfield to try to stop the run, and everybody focusing on Tyler Boyd. A name that doesn't come up much, I've seen it a little bit, is Tyler Eifert. This has got to be a boon to him early, a guy that just could never stay healthy, but has all the intangibles to be a top 10 tight end in this league.
For sure. He's again, I think the numbers that the people put up all the time when it's about buying Eifert, man, it's just that Dalton splits with him on and off the field. Just Eifert's such a factor in the red area, man, and obviously one of the true talents at the position. Even when he was playing healthy again, that was prime Gronk, and the dude was still up there, man. Just putting up numbers. You could have easily made an argument back then when healthy. He was a top 3-5 option at absolute worst. You know what I mean? So the ceiling's always been there, the talent's always been there. It's just about his availability at the end of the day, which just hasn't. The injury luck just hasn't really. It's always kind of kept him on the sideline there. So now we can switch gears here, bro. Going from covering a lot of ground here, bro. We got Seattle out of the way. We got Cincinnati out of the way. Theo Riddick, possibly a surprise cut. I know JJ was on the show, a handful of weeks ago, man, and kind of hinted at, Riddick, exiting Detroit as kind of the real true signal that, this is Kerryon Johnson's time. So Riddick out of the way, always sucking up the pass catching opportunities in Detroit. Now that he's gone, it's for sure wheels. It was wheels up for Kerryon Johnson prior, man. Now it's like the runway is completely clear. Theo Riddick, I think he took a visit to Denver, might have had a visit to New Orleans. Do you want to talk about Riddick and either of those landing spots? Do they do anything for you? Do you want to not see him anywhere? Do you want to, does that hurt the Royce Freeman, stock?
I feel like the Theo Riddick thing, this feels like Shane Vereen kind of towards the end of his career where we thought there was some pop left. He did a little something. Theo Riddick is clearly a talented pass catcher. In deep leagues, I might look to own him. That role doesn't exist in every location. Of course, if he goes to a New Orleans, that's a spot I'd like to see. But there's a lot of teams that don't utilize a pass-catching running back quite as much as Detroit did with him. I think the real thing to take away here is that Kerryon Johnson is the super mega ultra value of fantasy football. And if you got him in Dynasty, like I got him in Dynasty, I sold the farm for Kerryon Johnson where people were saying, oh, it's the Thomas Rawls. We haven't seen enough. Dude, you've seen enough. Kerryon Johnson, the production that he put up just last year, breakaway run rate on playerprofiler.com, number 13 amongst running backs, yards per touch, 5.7, number 15 amongst running backs, true yards per carry, number 6 overall. This is exciting, and this is a guy who is going to have the backfield to himself. Please do not mention C.J. Anderson on that minimal contract coming off a couple decent games for a prolific offense with the Rams. Look, C.J. Anderson's not taking his job. I know that this is a boost to guys like Ty Johnson. That's a deep name that you should be looking for. It's a guy that I stashed as an owner of Kerryon Johnson. Do I think that Kerryon's going to lose work to Ty Johnson? No, absolutely not. Like, this backfield is going to be Kerryon Johnson's. It's as much as he can possibly handle. And they've got a legit receiver in Kenny Golladay on the outside, right? So there's going to be some heat taken off there. They go and draft remind me here, tight end. I'm spacing because I'm so hyped up. Hawkinson. They go get Hawkinson, so they add another dimension to the pass catching out there as well. And look, Matt Stafford was number 11 in pass attempts in 2018. He targeted the running backs 138 times in 2018. Where do you think those targets are going to go? Where are they going to go, Ryan?
We gotta move on here before your shirt comes off and everything completely falls off the rails here, man. So speaking of going somewhere, man, Ezekiel Elliott, I believe if I read correctly, he's on his way to Cabo to train.
Perfect.
And I'm not good with geography, man. I feel like Cabo is not where the Cowboys practice. So obviously My man is not at Cowboys camp. Someone that I'm high on. I have Elliott over Barkley. We'll talk about some running back rankings later. Obviously the holdout. I'm not sure how this thing ends up shaking out. Jared Jones came out and basically said straight up that you don't need a running back. You don't need a prolific running back to win the Super Bowl, which probably was all these running back don't matter. Analytical type nerds out there, man. They were running wild on the timeline, man. So happy to hear stuff like that. So Jerry definitely got the message. Probably sending a little bit of shade towards Elliott's way. I think I might have also read that Elliott, the agents were talking. They were close. It's a calm discussion. It's a good discussion. So I guess they're hopeful. So all this is happening. Jerry's saying what he's saying. Elliott's in Cabo. There's talk. There's this. There's that. The Cowboys go out and bring back Alfie Mo, man. So I don't know if that was a little bit of a petty move on top of the commentary by Jerry Jones. I personally loved it. Obviously, Alfie Mo doesn't have much left in the tank, just a guy at this point. It's all about Elliott. I'd be surprised if he wasn't there. But man, we could talk about the fallout at Cowboys camp, or any of your thoughts surrounding Elliott or Alfred Morris or any of that stuff, if you have anything at all for the good people.
Oh man, I have way too much. Look, first off, I hope Ezekiel Elliott's swimming around the pool with his water wings on, hanging out, enjoying life, probably drinking a White Claw. We're all drinking White Claw right now.
Everyone's drinking White Claws nowadays. I love a good White Claw.
I love a good White Claw. They make like the tall boy version, really good. Catch a nice little buzz. They taste great. But you know what? Let me tell you something about the whole Ezekiel Elliott thing. Yeah, absolute shade for Jerry Jones to say, you don't have to have a rushing champion to win a Super Bowl. And then today, Josina Anderson, or yesterday, comes out and says that ultimately she expects Ezekiel Elliott to become the league's highest paid running back.
They're going to do it.
That's probably true. But
they're going to do it.
There's a name out there. Look, Alfie Morris was an absolute fuck you to Ezekiel Elliott. That's all that was.
Signing, bro. When I saw that, bro. I love the pettiness, bro. I thrive off of it.
That was Jerry Jones having somebody assist him to lift his arm all the way to the sky and put the bird up to Ezekiel Elliott. But look, we had an article written at breakoutfinder.com about a sneaky name in this Dallas backfield. And if you go to our lads and look at the depth chart, they don't have Ezekiel Elliott number one, because as far as I'm concerned and they're concerned, Ezekiel Elliott's not there.
He's in Cabo, bro. He's doing his thing. He's got the water wings on, man.
That's not Dallas. So look, right now, Darius Jackson. Can we spend like 5 seconds talking about this guy for a second?
Talk about him.
Super duper mega athlete, 87th percentile Spark X score, 81st percentile college dominator, 6 foot, 220. This is a guy that can really do everything. I know a lot of us are talking about Tony Pollard right now, Mike Weber. These are two hot names of guys that just came in, but the forgotten name is Darius Jackson, a Profile 1 running back. The article is on Player Profiler. It's got a badass graphic. Go read it. It's a great article. Obviously, Zeke Elliott's coming back at some point, but how long is the holdout going to be for? Somebody in Dallas needs to be the starter, and I might push my chips in on a guy like Darius Jackson. His ADP is so late right now that he's basically free. Zeke Elliott, we don't know when he's coming back. Obviously, when he comes back, he's the bell cow. He's the guy. But there may be an opportunity for a few weeks here for a guy like Darius Jackson to do it. Look, we saw Le'Veon Bell do it. And Zeke Elliott is not even in the country. I mean, at least Le'Veon Bell was shooting hoops at 24 Hour Fitness locally.
Right. Just catching a quick little workout. My man's in the pool. Elliott's in the pool, bro. Enjoying himself.
Yeah, what is Zeke doing now? Maybe he's not in Cabo. Maybe it's all bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's all hearsay.
The point is, Dak Prescott. There's a lot of belief that he's taking a major step forward next year. They got to sign Amari Cooper. They got to sign Dak. They got to sign Ezekiel Elliott. Man, your top 3 paid guys are going to be skill position players. Things are going to get shaky, Dallas. And as a Seattle fan, I'll be very happy to see that house of cards fall. I want to see that thing fall. We know what that's like.
I'm sitting back here, and the show sheet is just running so nicely. Here you go, talking about a super duper mega athlete. Yes. we got a guy in Baltimore that the Breakout Finder boys know very well.
Yes.
The listenership should know very well. This is a player, man, 94th percentile Spark X score. Everyone knows you drop a Spark X score like that, they know we're talking about the young king, Miles Boykin. Man, training camp buzz, like you said, a lot of narratives, getting built right here. But apparently, what we're being told, Boykin is the star of the show at Ravens training camp, man. So again, this was a couple practices in. Hollywood Brown was still on the mend. I believe he just got cleared off a pup today, actually. So we do have Hollywood Brown back. So and in general, the Ravens wide receiver room isn't top tier. However you want to phrase that. So
it's not good.
It's not good. So the competition certainly isn't there. But Miles Boykin, man, 6'4", 220, 98th percentile speed score, 99th percentile burst score. I mean, this guy is, again, we've ran through all the metrics time and time again. Everyone knows this guy's a legit alien. So what are we doing with Miles Boykin in Baltimore for dynasty, for season-long leagues? We're definitely going to talk about our guy Lamar Jackson a little bit too. So Miles Boykin, man, are you as nude as I am?
Oh, let me tell you, Ryan, my pants, I can't even take them off because they're soaking wet. Have you ever tried to take a pair of wet pants off?
You can't.
No, they're impossible to take off. I got like a water balloon to the crotch over the Miles Boykin news. I mean, it's incredible, right? Look, beat writers are talking about he's been the most impressive receiver at training camp. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure that that's just because Marquise Brown isn't there. There's truly a belief inside of me that says that despite Marquise Brown's abilities and speed, with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, Miles Boykin may end up being the better fit of the two in the long run. I know people look at a first-round wide receiver and a third-round wide receiver, and for those that don't know hit rates that well, they might look at that as a significant gap, but a third-round investment in a wide receiver is still a very high potential hit rate for these guys. And you look at Miles Boykin in the breakout finder for the 2019 draft class, number 1 overall level of competition scoring. So it's not surprising to see him showing out without this elite college production, because we go back and look, he didn't do anything till his senior year where he had 59 catches for 872 yards. Prior to that, he had a total of 18 receptions throughout his college career at Notre Dame. So not a prolific college player, but played against tough competition while he was doing it. And as you noted, super freak athlete. Go to playerprofiler.com, type in his name, see him in the nice Notre Dame polo shirt, and watch those things just slide all the way up till they just bang at the top where it says workout metrics, because the dude is a freak athlete. But here's the problem, Ryan. Lamar Jackson is his quarterback. And we like Lamar Jackson, and I'll let you touch on why his floor is so high. But man, as a passer, is he going to take a step forward? Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. If you're out here buying Miles Boykin, if you're out here and you fancy yourself more of a Hollywood Brown kind of guy, the idea, hitching your wagon to these pass catchers is that you have faith in Lamar Jackson, improving on the touch and the accuracy and all that stuff. However, the idea is that again, our biases aside and all that, the idea is that he does, year 2, he's going to grow, he's going to improve and all that. So again, a very important kind of training camp note to keep an eye on. Obviously, early in the preseason, don't know how much run he's actually going to get. But once the bullets start flying, man, it's going to be key to see how he has things dialed in for fantasy purposes. Man, he had his head coach John Harbaugh was on NFL Network's Inside Training Camp a day or two ago. Might have been yesterday. And former Ravens head coach Brian Billick mentioned Cam Newton rushing 139 times back in 2017. And without hesitation, the article reads, Harbaugh said, "I'd bet the over on that one," referencing his own quarterback, running up that Cam Newton stat, man. So
we know all about Rich Rebar, man, did the Konami code piece, a handful of years ago, man. We know about how important these rushing stats are for these quarterbacks, man. It completely pads the floor, raises the ceiling. So you have Lamar Jackson in year 2 again, hopefully taking a step forward as a passer, improving as a passer, improving his accuracy. He's added Miles Boykin. He's added Hollywood Brown. Out of training camp, we've heard all about the Mark Andrews connection. Hayden Hurst was the earlier draft pick of him, but dude is like 35, 36 years old already. We don't care about Hayden Hurst. We're all in on Mark Andrews.
Yes.
We're already ringing the Justice Hill bell. So this offense in general, man, is gonna run through the ground. Lamar Jackson's got his choice of weapons now as well. So man, the arrows all the way up for Lamar Jackson. He might have started out as kind of that quarterback 14, 15, 16 for him. He's the one player quarterback wise that I keep coming back to myself, and I can't help but slide him up a little bit further each and every time, man. His floor just seems so safe. And if you told me he had like he was going to finish top 3, top 5, I'm not going to argue with that, man. I think his ceiling just is so high given that rushing upside, these added weapons, and again his own coach obviously showing a lot of confidence in him as well. Bet the over, no pitch count this year. So again, all the arrows pointing up for our guy Lamar Jackson in 2019.
And Lamar Jackson, man, some other notes that came up. They say that Lamar Jackson added 7 to 10 pounds of muscle this offseason, so they think that he's up around 220. So, as being in the pocket, durability, as a runner, these are both bonuses to him. And then the Ravens quarterback coach, James Urban, again, this is being noted, is praising the development as a passer. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there like, yeah, man, I'm sure Lamar Jackson can get a little bit.
They all sound like that, bro.
Yeah, you're all droning.
When they talk shit.
I know they're all droning, man. But the thing is, Lamar Jackson is still going to run the ball. We know this. But if he increases as a passer, and this is where I feel like you said, Mark Andrews, Miles Boykin, a big target, a guy that he can find open. These kind of guys are going to be playmakers for him, where I still believe that Marquise Brown is going to be that home run threat, that they're going to have to cover over the top. It's going to open things up. You got to pay attention to him. But think about that stretch. Think about having Marquise Brown be able to stretch the field when you spell in a guy like Justice Hill with that speed out of the backfield and that dynamism out of the backfield, and Lamar Jackson's ability to run pass option and do his own thing with the ball. It is a scary proposition, and almost peak 99th percentile, 94th percentile receiver in Miles Boykin. What do you do? There are so many weapons in this offense that you should be excited about Lamar Jackson, and we all hope that he takes that step forward as a passer, because really that's the difference between these guys like Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin's really hitting, because it's very difficult when you have a highly inaccurate passer to really make these kind of plays in the NFL, especially as a rookie. It may take a while. I hope that Lamar takes that step forward, man. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, so we know. So, bro, you found yourself out of town this past week in a little nice vacation for Nate Liss and the fam squad. I was out of town myself. I found myself at a beautiful wedding over the past weekend, man. I was, again, the claws were flowing. I was flipping back and forth between the claws and a couple nice hoppy IPAs and all that, bro. Your boy had way too much fun. I say all this to say that obviously you miss a day or two in the NFL offseason here, and you miss a whole lot of news. So what I did was I sat down, ran through all the recent blurbs, and I kind of put up a big kind of recap piece over at breakoutfinder.com, where I kind of picked the top dozen or so and a bunch of little kind of quick hitters, kind of summarized what I was hearing, and obviously kind of gave my spin on it, what I would do as far as rankings and stuff like that. I'll probably do that throughout the offseason, kind of recap as we go along here, because this news it comes daily, man, obviously, and it's flying all different directions, and again, like we talked about at the top of the show, man, there are obvious ramifications here. So we kind of touched on a bunch of the players that I had highlighted in that original article. We didn't even talk about your guy Paris Campbell yet, man. He's turning heads over at Colts camp as well. The article that I threw up obviously had him leading off. There's some D.D. Westbrook news. There's Deontay Foreman news, man. A lot of Nate's guys here, man, are trending up here, bro. So it's complete vindication for you, or it appears that way right now. Are there any other players here in general? Could have been in the article, outside of the article, new shit, old shit. Do you want to touch on anything else here before we kind of put all the news, behind us and we move forward?
I want to touch on Paris Campbell because I love Paris Campbell. I remember once upon a time before Paris Campbell tested at the NFL Combine.
You put a fucking spacesuit on.
I put a spacesuit on. People were saying that Paris Campbell was going to go round 6 in the NFL draft.
Jerks.
No chance. Everybody was saying there's not enough tape to tell if Paris Campbell can do this or that. And then we hear recently, and you can go look at it, Frank Reich is talking about Paris Campbell being so impressive, being an absolute stud, that he should be in the mix for that number 2 job, even with Devin Funchess there. Look, man, Paris Campbell was already good. You just had to be able to see the intangibles with him. The breakout finder and the database will become available at some point this year. Paris Campbell, number 4 overall amongst all 2019 prospects from Ohio State. A lot of people cited the fact that Paris Campbell really only produced his senior year. And maybe that's true, but that's part of the reason that Paris Campbell has an insanely high teammate score. And there's a great top 10 teammate score article for 2019 over at the Breakout Finder. You can read about it. It explains the metric. And it details why these guys have the scores that they have. Ryan's got his great article over there that touches on these players. But is anybody surprised that Paris Campbell is showing out, that he's actually that good? Paris Campbell was good before he tested at the Combine. Now it's just he's being vindicated. I'm being vindicated. And guess what? He ends up with Andrew Luck in the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck, number 2 in pass attempts in 2018. Number 2 overall was 639. Listen, Russell Wilson threw the ball 427 times. Andrew Luck threw the ball 200 more times than Russell Wilson did. That's like 10 more games for Russell Wilson. Russell would have had to play 27 games in 2018 to have Andrew Luck's season. We love Paris Campbell going to the Colts.
Dude, that was all, man. That was, again, we can yell about vindication all day long, man. You were on that Paris Campbell train early, man. So legit, hats off to you, bro, because he is, again, athletically checks the boxes. The tape, man, we can listen to those idiots all day long talking about, all he did was out of the back, all this stuff. Put all that aside, man. Athletically, landing spot, draft capital, all that shit, checks all of it, man. Yes. We talked about Paris Campbell as an obvious dynasty buy, as was everyone else. But as you mentioned a couple minutes ago, man, he is probably going to make waves as early as his rookie season, man. That's just kind of talent he is. So very, very excited about Paris Campbell, very excited about the Colts offense in general. The only other player I want to bring up here, people can, again, go read the whole article in its entirety. It's the same dozen or 2 dozen players that everyone else is talking about right now. But again, I think it's very important to, to either, form your own opinions on them or listen to the spins. Because again, these players, these moves, this news, this is going to obviously have an impact on the way that you are drafting these players for season-long leagues. But the name that I want to bring up before we move on here and we talk about some running back rankings is, man, last year, I, for better or for worse, and it turned out to be for worse, man, I pushed all my chips and all my proverbial chips in on Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed is one of the players that I just can't quit, man. Last year I told myself I was done with Jordan Reed. No more Jordan Reed. I quit Jordan Reed. But this year, he is all the buzz at Washington camp, man. He is fully recovered from, I believe, the toe injury at this point that totally hampered him last season. So feasible to say that, it was actually Scott Barrett. I blame Scott Barrett over at Pro Football Focus. He was the one that kind of led me to him. So fair to say Scott, myself, everyone else that kind of followed along was a year early on Jordan Reed. And I love Jordan Reed. I don't want to love Jordan Reed, but I love Jordan Reed. Do you care about Jordan Reed? Do you care about anyone in this Washington offense that isn't your guy, Kelvin Harmon, man? Are you buying Jordan Reed season long?
Here's the thing, man. We talked about Tyler Eifert. Jordan Reed and Tyler Eifert in very similar boats here. I mean, immense upsides in their offense. Both these offenses are devoid. I mean, not like Boyd, but without A.J. Green, there is a huge opportunity in Cincinnati for Tyler Eifert, just like in Washington, there's a huge opportunity for Jordan Reed, right? I mean, Jordan Reed has been hurt his entire career, whether it's head injuries or body injuries. Jordan Reed at 29 years old, still a super freak athlete. I wouldn't be able to quit Jordan Reed either, but his ADP is still comfortable because for so many years we've seen him go down. People are afraid to spend a pick on him, and more so than there has been in the past, there's a lot of tight ends in the league that have kind of risen to the top, so there's a lot of competition. So guys like Jordan Reed are slipping, and yeah, that's a guy that I love. Another name that I like there that I'm seeing a lot of buzz from is Terry McLaurin. And I'll come back to Terry McLaurin. I just want to say, man, with Dwayne Haskins, a rookie quarterback, we know historically that quarterbacks are going to lean on their safety blanket. In this case, that may be Jordan Reed, who is a hyper-athletic tight end. And if he can stay healthy, big if, said it for a lot of years, if he can, this could be a great combination, at least for 2019. Terry McLaurin, on the other hand, this is a guy who had another guy with an immense teammate score, at Ohio State, obviously, because he played with a lot of guys before him, and that's how the teammate score works. But Terry McLaurin, surprise pick, 3rd round of the NFL draft. Another very good athlete. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity in Washington. I love Kelvin Harmon. I realize what the reality is for him with his athleticism and being a 6th-round pick and that mountain to climb. I love what I've seen from him over the years through college and his growth and progression, which is what you want out of these guys. Terry McLaurin taking a 3rd round super freak athlete, another guy that's just not really getting a lot of conversational buzz, but could be a guy that people need to pay attention to. A name that I want to bring up, which is really interesting, is Kerryon Johnson in Arizona. Still chatter about Keyshawn, but I'm not hearing any chatter about Hakeem Butler. What's going on here? Is Hakeem Butler falling? Is he not a roster lock? Is Hakeem Butler getting cut?
Bro, I want to ignore this question, but I will say that man, if you go to your twitter.com and you type in the Arizona Cardinals handle, man, there is a highlight play from yesterday or 2 days ago, man. Beautiful Hakeem the Dream Man skying up there, one-handed grab. Again, we talk about realities of our favorite players pre-draft, whatever the case may be. I've taken the Hakeem Butler L, at least initially. Kyler Murray's in town, so I'm eternally hopeful. Given that the problem is, as we talked about in shows past, man, it's going to be quiet for my guy Butler for a little bit, man. He's got some names in front of him. If we're going to talk about people that aren't getting buzz, another player that I was on last year, probably a year too early because that Arizona offense was just poopy, dude, was Ricky Seals-Jones, man. This is a player that Kyler Murray's very familiar with. Cliff's very familiar with. Wide receiver in college, kind of a converted tight end. It isn't really probably a tight end, but a big body target, a la Hakeem Butler. So he kind of fills that role, and he, I imagine, is going to play well ahead of Hakeem Butler, at least in Butler's early seasons as well. So Seals-Jones, another player that I'm back in on, because the ADP is right, especially obviously we're talking about things in a season long kind of scope here, but obviously breakout finder boys, man. Christian Kirk all the way. You got Andy Isabella, another favorite. Larry Fitz is still there. We talked about Ricky Seals. They signed Charles Clay. David Johnson's still there. Unfortunately, Kerryon Johnson, as you mentioned as well, man. There are just so many bodies, unfortunately, for Hakeem Butler. Now, again, I personally believe the talent is there, so I think he's going to kind of fight his way, figure things out. It's not going to happen initially. It's not going to happen early. But man, before you guys go to bed tonight, man, just say a quick little prayer for my guy Hakeem Butler, man. He needs it. We need it right now.
Hakeem Butler's going to need more than a prayer, likely to ascend this offense. We like his skill set, right? We loved his athletic. When he tested at the combine, everybody was just, their minds were blown, right?
Yeah.
But
big
then
boy.
Kerryon Johnson is being touted as potentially the number 3 receiver behind Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk, one of the craziest things that I've heard. But you know how training camp goes. You got to hype somebody up. You got to get behind somebody. But I like your take on Ricky Seals-Jones. Another guy with a really, really comfortable ADP and an offense that's expected to be very fast-paced. A lot of plays. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity there. The ball's probably going to get spread a lot with a quarterback like Kyler Murray, who's a good passer. So he's going to find the open target and get it out of his hands quick, and they're going to try to move the ball downfield. You got to be a fan of David Johnson. I know you just did your tiers, running back tiers, and you have David Johnson in the first tier. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah. RB5 overall. I don't think he's going to move out of that 5 spot. Maybe Melvin Gordon, depending on the news there. I assume that Melvin Gordon is going to get a deal done. Melvin Gordon is my RB6 at the moment. I think you might be able to make an argument, obviously, where you can kind of flip flop the two. David Johnson, man, that 2016 season, he was almost touching, a 1,000 yard campaign, which is obviously prolific in of itself. I'm not sure we're going to see that kind of David Johnson again, but as you said, man, falling into this kind of Arizona offense, this kind of up-tempo Arizona offense with Cliff in town, with Kyler in town. David Johnson's obviously a talented player, so I'm all in on the bounce back. So yeah, he found himself in that RB5 spot. You kind of got that conglomerate of the big four in front of him, which again I don't think is going to change too much. So comfortably, David Johnson RB5.
I love David Johnson this year. I mean, the upside's there, the opportunity is clearly there. I mean, without a doubt. So you got to be a fan of him in that offense. I'm just excited to see what it is with Kyler Murray. I mean, everybody's expectation is that Kyler Murray is going to be fantastic. And I don't know why he wouldn't be. We got on here with JJ Zacharyson a month ago or something like that, and he talked about how, I think he said Kyler Murray was locked in like quarterback 5 or something like that overall, 5 or 6. So I don't think it's crazy. I mean, the rushing upside is obviously going to be there. Fast-paced offense, creative offense, a lot of weapons. Similar to what we've been talking about with a couple other situations that are loaded, like Baltimore. But Kyler Murray, clearly a better passer than Lamar Jackson as it stands today. I don't know if there's anybody else you want to touch on, Ryan. Any other names out there?
Yeah. Well, if we're gonna let's stay on the running back tiers topic. I got the quarterback tiers up there. We got the running back tiers up there. Tight end and wide receiver is still kind of in the workshop here. We're gonna get those out. You got Chef Nate's cooking up some clean graphic work for those, and then we'll get those out there to you guys. Again, the idea with these tiers, this is just kind of initial ranks, initial snapshots, players. Obviously, as we talked about in the entire show, all show long, players move up and down as the offseason progresses. So I will keep my rankings updated. There's a full rankings tab with Devy rankings and obviously with redraft season long rankings. So I'll make sure those stay updated as often as possible throughout the offseason. Running back wise, so got those up back on the 22nd or 21st or something like that. So a week and some change has gone by. As far as some players that I'm going to kind of be moving up and down, Derrick Henry was checking in kind of in the middle of that second tier for me. Monster end to his campaign last year. Showed up in a walking boot, I believe is what we're being told out over in Titans camp. So never a good sign. The Titans don't seem too concerned. So a situation you definitely have to monitor as you get closer to your draft. You don't want to be drafting a hobbled Derrick Henry. In the same vein, Deion Lewis, a really kind of sneaky upside satellite back plus kind of player as well. A couple other players I could single out here. Again, talking about all this offseason buzz, all this training camp buzz, man. Kenyon Drake fading, Kalen Ballage, all the rage in Miami, man. This is a kid, again, had his production concerns. A lot of that came after that 7 or 8 score outburst against Texas Tech, that legendary game. When I was looking at him when he came out a year or two ago, whatever it was, fantastic hands, man. Really, really clean hands, a bigger body. And in Miami, we know we have a brand new coaching staff, brand new quarterback, brand new offense. The offense in general is one that I'm probably shying away from, but there's been plenty of consistent buzz around Kalen Ballage, man, that Kenyon Drake's kind of that guy. He's going to get his pass catching work, and probably a player that's hasn't quite been utilized to his potential throughout his career. But you got a guy like Ballage coming in and kind of stealing the show. Probably says more about Drake as well. It just isn't up to the challenge. I'm not sure what the narrative is around him. But before I rattle off another name or two, man, do you have, bro? You that shirt almost came off. when we say Kalen Ballage, man.
Oh,
Do you wanna throw some kindling on the fire here?
Do I want to throw some kindling on the fire? Yes, I do. I'd love to. Look, Kalen Ballage was a guy that we fought about. If you listen to the Sonic Truth podcast, I went down swinging with my sword. Sometimes Matt Kelly's sword feels like it's about 5 feet long, and I feel like I'm fighting with a dagger. But I did my best. Listen, I'm a big fan of Kalen Ballage, the same way that I was a fan of Alvin Kamara. Look, limited production doesn't mean inability to do it on the field. Same thing with Paris Campbell. We get so hung up on this production. Look, we're talking about Kenyon Drake. Everybody's so high on Kenyon Drake. They're knocking Kalen Ballage's college production. Do I need to remind you about his college production back when he played at Alabama? Kenyon Drake was an afterthought. So wait a minute. Kalen Ballage was an afterthought at Arizona State, so he's not supposed to leapfrog. That was the afterthought over at Alabama. I'm confused. I'm so confused.
Afterthoughts leaping afterthoughts, man. This is like some Inception type shit.
What about that time that Kalen Ballage caught 44 passes in a collegiate season on a team that had a quarterback that was incredibly run first? Manny Wilkins was the devil. He was so terrible for Kalen Ballage and bad for N'Keal Harry as well. I mean, imagine what N'Keal Harry did with a quarterback that was tucking and running like half the time. But the point is, don't be surprised by what Kalen Ballage is doing. He's a good athlete that can catch the ball. I know there's plenty of people that tweeted me the other day, and they're like, Nate, he can't run between the tackles. Have you watched the tape? Yeah, I've watched the tape. So have the coaches. That's why Kenyon Drake isn't running in front of him. That's why that's Kalen Ballage's job. He's a big dude, 6'2", 230, runs a 4.46. Has very good athleticism, good agility, which is one of those things that you want to see out of a running back. Shiftiness. I'm a big fan of his opportunity in this offense. I don't love this offense, but I love his opportunity, and that's sort of the difference here. So again, I realize that Kenyon Drake did some impressive things as a ball carrier, but again, if you're going to beat down the college opportunity that Kalen Ballage had, will you please log back in and look at Kenyon Drake's college production, because it's not so different. In fact, I don't even think it's as much. I think it's actually a lot less than Kalen Ballage's.
So I mean, Ballage, man, again, I'm very, very happy to hear that you are carrying the banner alongside me again. Not a player that I was high on to kind of enter things here, but again, it's smart for us to follow the whispers, listen to the coach speak. Don't get sucked too far in, but again, these things are important, within proper context. A couple more names here, bro, that we'll give the people before we sign the hell out. Miles Sanders.
Yes.
Another player that kind of found himself for me in that tier 5 for me, those kind of middle rounds. Early camp buzz was that he kind of was behind the 8 ball. It just wasn't doing enough. Doug Peterson came out, praised Jordan Howard. I know you and I are pretty much on the same page as far as Jordan Howard, just more or less just a guy. You talked about how the draft capital given up to kind of make that trade happen wasn't noteworthy enough. Miles Sanders, this is going to be an experiment, in just talent shining out, at the end of the day. As much as Jordan Howard kind of is getting the buzz, and maybe the coaching staff, the coach speak, they're using that to kind of push Sanders. You know what I mean? Hey, you're not doing what we thought you'd do early on. Kind of pushing him along. There are for every positive Jordan Howard blurb, there are one or two positive, Miles Sanders looking good, between the tackles, in space, whatever the case may be. So this is a player, again, you and I were both in lockstep, very, very high on. Check the athleticism box. Yes. Check the production box, given the fact that he was playing behind someone like Saquon Barkley. So overall, especially in this running back class, man, more or less stood out. So Miles Sanders, man, a player that many might be kind of forgetting about, during this kind of dead of the offseason. But again, a player that I'm still going to be drafting as far as season long leagues are concerned in the coming weeks, because again, talent is going to win out.
Miles Sanders will not be the next second round running back to Ronald Jones himself out of a job. Look. I realize that right now Jordan Howard is air quote being said to get the lion's share of the short yardage work. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Howard was put in the game in a short yardage situation. And then we hear that Jordan Howard has been dominating the carries with the first team offense, but then reports come out that Miles Sanders has looked the part, and if ball security and pass pro are non-issues, it seems like he will be the lead back. We're getting mixed readings here, but look, do not ignore the fact that Miles Sanders has the athletic pop. He has the pass-catching ability. He played in a good system in college. He just happened to play behind one of the greatest, most generational running back talents that the league has ever seen, Saquon Barkley, who smashed on an offense that was non-existent with a quarterback that's half-baked, half-retired, can't throw the ball at all, and he still produced, even though every team knew he was going to get the ball a million times. Jordan Howard may be a fine play as a flex option for a team in a redraft league. You got to believe that Miles Sanders is coming sooner rather than later. If this is a dynasty league, you can buy Jordan Howard on the cheap, and maybe in the first week or two of the season, he gets a little more run than Miles Sanders. But you better believe that as the second running back off the board, Miles Sanders is absolutely coming for that job, and he is deserving of it, and he's going to take it. He's getting that job.
Absolutely. The last name from the running back tiers that I kind of want to circle, and of course, if you have one or two you want to throw out there too, bro, at the end, then we will move on to some kind of housekeeping items. We'll talk about the site a little bit. We'll let you kind of fill the people in as you see fit, and then we will, like I said, we will get the heck out of here. One of the last names I want to bring up here, bro, Chris Thompson. Over out in Washington, has played a full 16-game season, I want to say once in the past 4 years. We know the story about Thompson, man, the injuries and all that. We talked about the Washington offense a little bit, not an offense that we're necessarily high on, some intriguing pieces there. So I kind of see Thompson as kind of that. Again, you talked about the security blankets and kind of that easy kind of safety feeling, man. Out of the backfield, Chris Thompson is such a smooth pass catcher, man. He really is that check down, that safety option, bro. 49 receptions, 39 receptions, 41 receptions this past 3 seasons. Again, seasons that have been asterisked with injuries. But you watch Chris Thompson, man. Again, right now, kind of a forgotten name. Just again, given the injury history, given the perhaps underwhelming Washington offense, Washington cast. Just a player that, to me, man, just out of the backfield, so smooth. And these players, these satellite back plus type players, are valuable, especially when we're talking, this zero RB approach or this modified zero RB approach. You want to snag these guys up in these middle to late rounds. That pass catching upside is going to help save some of your rosters, down the stretch. So it might be naive of me. I'm buying Jordan Reed again. I'm buying Chris Thompson again. I just can't quit these injury prone Redskins players, but a player that I think is intriguing enough to me given his current ADP.
Chris Thompson has validated that in the NFL as a pass-catching running back, he's impressive, and in his limited opportunity, almost like a Dion Lewis in a way, has also been impressive as a rusher. 5 yards per carry for the career. This is a team, though, that is going to be returning Darius Geis as well, a running back that we expect to have a lot of pop. I mean, this is a guy that we only got to see in the preseason. Expectation is he should be lightning. We saw him running some routes in the offseason last year. He's getting healthy now. I believe he's going to be utilized in the pass game. Certainly a hell of a lot more than he was at LSU back in college. I like Chris Thompson's opportunity in this offense. I'm not quite sure if we're ever going to see him get back to 50 targets in a season again, especially with Adrian Peterson being in this offense. Not necessarily heavily targeted, but last year still 26. Thompson had his 55 in 10 games, but that's excluding Darius Geis in this offense, so some things could shake up. I like Chris Thompson. He's a late round guy that you can grab. Who knows if Pete stays healthy? Who knows if Geis comes out healthy? A lot of things could change. Chris Thompson's role certainly could be bigger than I'm even expecting in an offense that, like you mentioned, just has a lot of moving parts, and nobody in this offense is an elite talent. I mean, we've got Josh Doxson. That guy, Just wipe him off the board.
Play the sad trombone sound effect, bro. When you talk about Josh Doxson, man, it's just a no bueno. No
if you're gonna play it once for Josh Doxson, play it twice for Brian Quick, and then Terry McLaurin and Trey Quinn. I know a lot of people are up on Trey Quinn because it's like we got to be on somebody. Somebody's got to do.
Somebody has to catch balls. Yeah.
I mean, unless the Washington Redskins are only going to complete 17 passes in 2019, somebody's got to do something. So I do like Trey Quinn in that sense, but I'm with you. As a value, Chris Thompson is certainly a guy that I want to own, but I've got high expectations for Darius Geis, very high expectations.
Fair enough. Yeah.
For Darius Geis coming back this year, and obviously even greater in 2020, which is going to be a phenomenal draft class, by the way. There's a little bit of Devy stuff up at breakoutfinder.com. You can go to the drop-down tab. Ryan's got his rankings up there. You can go to the Devy content section. I've got some articles out there talking about Rondale Moore, talking about Justin Ross, talking about CeeDee Lamb, a guy that I'm very high on. I know Ryan's high on him too. I might have him a smidge higher than Ryan's got him. Things could change. I'm going to try and swing his opinion a little bit. But with that being said, let's talk about the website for a minute because a lot of things have changed. We actually have not podcasted since the website went live, believe it or not. There is a lot to see here. I mean, we've essentially had an article coming out every day or every other day since we've been live. If you look at it, we've got the articles section. It's always got the 4 current ones. You can go to the content drop down, click articles. Inside there, you can see a running list of all the articles that have been written. Ryan has his blurbs and notes, which are probably going to continue as this goes on. We've got a lot of Carolina stuff going on. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Ryan's stuff is in there with the tiers. Again, Darius Jackson article. We've got a Royce Freeman article, OJ Howard, lots of names, things to check out. Coming soon, though, the database will be launching. Currently, there is no paywall at breakoutfinder.com. We don't charge you a red cent to come to breakoutfinder.com, peruse what we have, pick Ryan's rankings, which are going to be changing. I don't think Ryan plans on doing weekly rankings, but I will tell you this much. Ryan and I do plan when the fantasy football season comes around to set up some rankings that are designed for that, to kind of optimize what we think going into the playoffs as the season has progressed. So that's going to be a great tool for you as you gear up for those playoffs, because nobody wants to lose the fantasy football championship. You spend all offseason listening to us drone on about players, me get crazy about Miles Boykins, who might not do anything, but it's important to optimize for the playoffs, and Ryan has the redraft rankings to help you get there, man. This guy has grinded all offseason like no other man, so check out the rankings, go to the drop-down, go to the 2019 redraft. There's little boxes at the top. You can individually click quarterbacks. You can sort them. You can see who he has, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, search it, do whatever. Go check out some of the other stuff that we've got going on as well. We've got an Instagram account where we put a lot of the graphics. So if you missed them on Twitter, they are being posted over at the Instagram, which is at breakout_finder, which is just like the Twitter account. And if you know a guy who does graphics, send them our way. We are actually looking for one guy who works on graphics. I do a lot of the graphics work. I'm looking for talented guys that do it, that are interested. If you have a background, we're totally looking for one guy to help add a little more vibrant color and creativity to this website. But there is a lot coming. We have featured guests coming. The database is coming. More video stuff, more ranks. So we're going to stay heavy on this, and the content is free. So enjoy it right now. And hopefully by the next time you hear us, we'll have a sponsor set up. I'm crossing my fingers. If it's a sponsor I think it is, it's going to be exciting times.
It's going to be naughty.
It's going to be good times ahead. That's right. It's going to be good times ahead. So this was kind of a wing-ding show. Ryan and I didn't even think we were going to do this. A little more high energy than I expected to be. Way too high energy, actually. I am sweating. It's hot in here. So I appreciate everybody showing up. Check Ryan out on Twitter at StillRyan5. Nate Liss on Twitter at AnOutrageJew. Should be somewhere below our names. Check out breakoutfinder.com. Lots of stuff going on. Things to come. Rate and review the podcast. Big help to us also. Help us move up there so we can share this with everybody else. And more to come in the future, more announcements. But for now, I appreciate everybody checking in. We'll see you guys next week.